A bit about me. It's not exciting, but I want to speak about me and my influences and how I became what I wanted to be. I don't know what I've become. I became what I wanted to be. Very important. I was born posthumously. I think you must be knowing this. I was born after the death of my father and my mother. I had great fear and anxiety. Great fear and anxiety. I never used to speak because I had a speech defect. I had a squeaky voice. I used to stammer, I used to stutter, and I used to lisp like virus. Talk like that. And people used to laugh, and I used to say, why are people laughing? So I stopped talking. I never spoke. And I had no confidence. Zero. I never answered a single question in class. Even for the entrance exam, when the principal asked me, showed me the photograph of a horse, I did not answer, even though I knew the answer, because I wanted to say, half. ऐसे बोलता था मैं. So then how did that little anxious young man become this semi-arrogant person? No, Vijay, Jitu, Jitu's nodding his head, you're not arrogant. I'll tell you what happened. I was in a school, what's it called? Prize distribution day. मुझे तो कोई प्राइज मिलने वाला ही नहीं था, इतना छोटा सा था. And I'm standing there in the choir. There's a choir में खड़े हम लोग. गाना गा रहे हम लोग. And I had a big red bow made of paper, rouge, lipstick. क्यों करते थे बच्चे लोग के साथ ऐसे? Anyway, but that was the way I was standing there and singing. And my mother is sitting somewhere there. That lady is saying, no, I'm not your mother. My mother is sitting somewhere there. And she's smiling. And I'm looking at her, I'm saying, what's wrong with my mother? So after the performance, after the annual day got over, I went up to my mom and said, Mommy, why were you smiling so much? She's saying, Beta, first time in your life you were smiling. Oh. Right? And she figured out something. What did she figure out, my friends? She figured out a very important thing. She realized where I was happy. And where was that? On stage. She figured that thought and said, this kid is not going to understand maths and science because he's dyslexic and dyscalculic. I don't remember numbers even today. You ask me to say a number, what is this auditorium number? I don't know. I forget. I was told. I don't know. I go to the hotel. I go to the wrong room. I knock on the wrong room, believe it or not, because I'm a number dyslexic. Sometimes I go to the wrong room on purpose, but we can't talk about that now. So how is this kid going to become successful if you're going to push him into a form that he does not understand or it does not register? There's a thing called OTP. 4 numbers to be remembered in one go. मैं तो पागल हो जाऊंगा. In the movie Dawn 2, Shah Rukh Khan has to ask me, "Abhi Vardhan bhai, re wo number ka locker ka number bata do." So I would do the whole thing. Dekho Dawn. Acha, theek hai, locker ka number 4285. All the assistants come. Sir, it's not 4285. I said, I know. Because I'll never remember no matter how many times you teach me. I just can't remember a number. Of course, finally, the okay take, he told the art director, 1283. Go and put it over there on that thing, otherwise we'll never know what to do. So what was this kid going to do with his life? My mother understood that, and she sent me for speech training. She sent me to music classes. She sent me to the cinema every day. Every single day I used to go to the cinema. There was my cinema Paradiso right opposite my house, literally 40 feet across the road. And I used to see the posters and go crazy. And my mother used to send me every single day to the cinema. Which movie is running? Okay, Ben-Hur, Pyasa. What's running today? I would say, Ben, go see it again. I said, why? Go see it for different aspects of cinema, which you seem to understand, she told me. You seem to understand the storytelling devices. I see you perform it. I see you even moving like a camera, for cuts and things like that. I was a little kid. I saw a movie called Funny Girl at the Strand Cinema 36 times. Barbara Streisand's film. 36 times. And I'm telling you, it's the wrong number. It may be 42, it may be 22. It doesn't matter. But 36 sounds good. It has a rhythm. 36 times. You can see it dramatically. And the doorman, his name was Dara. He put the torch on my face. Yeah, tu kal bhi aaya tha? हाँ, पिक्चर समझ में आता है? बोले नहीं. तो फिर आता है क्यों है? मुझे मालूम नहीं. I'm drawn to it. I'm drawn to this the movie that I was too young to understand. The opening shot of the film is Barbara Streisand. She enters in Broadway. She's facing the New Amsterdam Theatre. You remember this? Say yes. New Amsterdam. याद रख के वो क्या कर रही है? The New Amsterdam, and all the public is going to the New Amsterdam Theatre. And so the opening shot of the film, it's from a low angle. She's wearing this wonderful leopard skin coat, and people are going inside, and that image is stuck in my head. But what happens is a reversal, and we'll talk about reversals today. All right? What is a reversal? She doesn't go into the theatre. The reversal is that she goes this way, and goes behind into a dark alley, and goes behind the theatre, and enters from the artist's entrance, the stage door. Something about that excited me. Something about that made me feel, I know where I have to go in life. I want something. This is maybe what I wanted. I don't know. I was 11 years old. And my father before my mother and my grandfather before my father were shopkeepers. दुकान थी हमारी छोटी सी. वेफर बनाते थे आलू के. नॉर्थ में आलू बोलना पड़ता, बटाटा बोलते तो कुछ समझ में नहीं आता उन लोगों नॉर्थ वाले को. तो वहाँ पे मेरी माँ बैठती थी, and she used to sweat. I used to remember her blouse used to be sweaty all the way around. And that hot furnace is next door, and I used to sit on her lap, and customers used to come और यहाँ पे वेफर बनाते थे. There was a friend of my father. His name was Farooq uncle. Farooq uncle used to come and sit and ask mummy, कैसे चल रहा है, क्या चल रहा है, we were कर्जे में थे, कर्जे में कितना पैसा you've paid back, things like that. And then he asked, novelty cinema में क्या चल रहा है? Novelty cinema में क्या चल रहा है? So before my mother could answer, I answered. I said, El Cid. El Cid. El Cid. Really? So my mother said, would you like to see El Cid? She's telling Farooq uncle. So he said, yeah, I would love to see El Cid. She said, Baman will take you. Can you imagine? I'm saying, really? Now, novelty cinema का पर्दे का दीवार, back side, और हमारी दुकान की भट्टी का दीवार, wall, common था. You could stick your ear and you could hear what's going on over there. Especially Helen के dances होते थे, मैं जाके सुनता था. और El Cid में my mother sent me with Farooq uncle. I held his hand. He was an old man. I held his hand and took him to Novelty Cinema. And I sat with him and told him the story. Why did I have to tell him the story while it's going on? He was blind, you see. Oh. Now what my mother did in that one moment to an 11-year-old child who did not have confidence, she empowered me to tell stories, to tell a blind man. And I told him in his ear. And now Charlton Heston is sitting on the horse. They have bound him. They have tied him. There's an arrow, 2 arrows inside his chest. They've broken the arrow and he's dead. And now he will ride the army and he'll lead the army. But his horse is going into the water, into the sea. Because if they had told the army that your leader is dead, they would never have marched. And I'm telling him that story. I'm crying. Farooq uncle is crying. And I'm telling the story. I knew in that moment that someday I will tell a story. I knew in that moment. You see what I'm saying? I grew up, I did a lot of things, and when I was 35 years old, after I became a waiter, I won't go into that. After I became a dukandar, because I had to leave my waitering job. I'll tell you a little about my opening, my interview as a waiter. I went to Taj Mahal as a waiter, and there was a Parsi manager. Everybody here knows who a Parsi is? सचमुच दिल्ली में कोई जानता ही नहीं है वो क्या होता है भाई? Anybody knows who any famous Parsis? Known very well, eminent.
Ratan
Name,
Tata.
come on.
Ratan Tata.
पूना का आदमी है तो पूना वाला ही बोलेगा.
रतन टाटा.
टाटा बम ईरानी लास्ट में आएगा. और बोलो JR टाटा. दारू वाला क्यों बोला आपने यार? मतलब आपको क्या एक्साइटमेंट है दारू वाले के साथ? But think about it, Homi Baba, Sam Manekshaw, Soli Sorabji, some great eminent Parsis. King Charles. वो पारसी नहीं है, खाली नाक पारसी जैसा है बुड्ढे का. So, where was I? See, you all distracted me. Where was I? So this Parsi guy, I want to talk to you about this interview because it's very important to understand certain things in life, that you got to be yourself. I practiced the whole night what I'm going to say in the interview. He was writing something, he looked up, I was wearing a bow tie, he said, naam kya hai? I said, Parsi che? Okay. Khadus tha ekdam. Handsome tha wo aadmi. All Parsis are handsome, as you can see. Which department do you want to join? He asked me this question. Food and beverage. He's saying, hey, idiot. Drop the accent first. Now, what is he saying, basically? Don't try to impress me. Don't have to put on an act to impress me. Whatever you do in your life, whatever you do, whether you're making a film, especially if you're making a film, especially if you're acting, don't try and impress people. Be truthful to that moment. That is what I'm trying to say. Why am I telling you all these things? And then he said, drop the accent, be yourself. I said, yeah, okay. Which department do you want to join? The whole hotel business is about food and beverage, you idiot. Order kya main? He said, which department? I said, the Rendezvous. The Rendezvous is a French restaurant, the most expensive restaurant in India, maybe Asia. French, on the top floor. He said, excellent. And I'm coming and I'm going to join these little stories and make it part of our talk on screenplay structure. And he said, I'm impressed. Kya baat hai? You know, son, he taught me a new word that day, which I don't think even Shashi Tharoor knows this word. बहुत लंबा word है. हाँ? बहुत लंबा word है. And that word is want. You want something. Remember, guys, if you don't want something in this world, your story will never move forward. You'll have nothing to look forward to. You have nothing to aspire for. You have no story to tell. He says, you want something. I said, thank you, sir. All right, can you start now? I said, yes, sir. Go to the basement, you idiot. I said, but sir, wo. He said, tujhe kya lagta hai? I'm going to send you up. Hindi mein nahi bola, Parsi hai. What do you think? I'm going to send you up directly. Go to the basement. Start washing dishes, start folding napkins, start doing room service, and work your way to the top. This is it. So all you young people, filmmakers, actors, writers, directors in this room, or people who just want to make it in some other form, you can't do this overnight. There are no magic bullets. You've got to pay your dues. Understand that. I needed to tell you this. How many of you are actors, aspiring actors? Daro nahi, it's a very noble profession. How many of you are aspiring directors or already directors? How many of you are writers in the room? Oh, that's a good bunch. Excellent. Now, are you going to tell me that the first thing you will ever do, it's possible, but the first thing that you'll ever do would be a super duper jubilee hit? No. It's going to be rejected. You know why? Because people are afraid to back. with my foot in the door. And I got a reasonable foot in the door in the film industry. It took more than 12 years to get my film, The Mehta Boys, commissioned. How? Because I was saying it in a different language, in a different way, or rather a different voice from what people are used to listening to. So people say, nahi, nahi, yaar, ye thoda dar lagta hai. No actor wanted to act in it. No actor, the only guy who really wanted to act in it was me. But you have to have the courage of your conviction. It took me 12 years to get it commissioned. So, my young friends, for newcomers, it's going to be even more difficult. Please be prepared for that. Don't be afraid. I know of my friends over here who put in everything of theirs to make a film. I'd like you to put your hands together. It's a wonderful film you may not have heard of. I think you have. I'm pulling your leg, of course. I like cracking a joke. It's a film called Godavari. Have you seen it?
Yes.
Come on, let's hear a round of applause. You must have the courage of your convictions because there's a belief system in the people. Stand up, Jitendra Joshi. Don't be afraid. इंट्रोड्यूस द राइटर राइटर तो मेन होता है तू तो खाली नाटकी है
प्राजक्त देशमुख
आई वाज गोइंग टू इंट्रोड्यूस तूने मेरा लाइन चोरी किया यार मेरा रिवर्सल चोरी किया आई वांट टू टेल यू नाउ दैट वी आर हियर. Let me tell you the courage and conviction of these two people who wrote and the director I met outside, the amazing Nikhil. I cannot believe that they made this film based on what? Where did you all bring the money? How did you all think of doing this? And they made it. It won the best film at IFFI, man. And it's all going all over the world. Have the courage of your convictions. Prajakta Deshmukh. I went and saw a play of his. I'm a big believer in Marathi theatre. I went and it doesn't matter if you don't understand the language 100%, but if you understand something, you get the essence of what is being said. Not literally, but what the writer-director wants to say. He produced, directed a play and wrote a play called Deva Babali. Am I saying it correctly, Prajakta? Hey. Usme Jitendra nahi tha. So Jitendra, you don't stand up for this. Deva Babali. What's the concept? Do you all know this? How many of you have seen Deva Babali? Put your hands up. I am so impressed. It's about two women sitting, washing clothes and cooking and making chapati. And they're talking about their husbands. And they're singing songs and it's a musical. And I'm wondering what's going on. What are they talking about? Their saintly husbands and they're literally, I'm afraid to say this, but almost grumbling about them. Am I right, sir? Did I get the essence? And it thematically, it's so strong that it resonates so beautifully. And what is most important about Deva Babali? Who in his right mind in this day and age of what people have short attention spans has the guts to make a film based on the wives of two saintly people talking about and fighting and also getting together at some point with each other? How can that how can that play work? It can work for a small experimental audience. But for how many shows, my dear friend Prajakta? 535. You know what am I trying to say? If you have the courage of your convictions, you can make a play of anything that is beautiful, meaningful, and it comes from your soul. 535 plays, and let me say they made money also, by the way. Nothing wrong with that. But who would have thought this play would be a super hit and a money spinner? Not on paper. The courage is worth millions of dollars. Just the courage. So, let's move ahead and talk to you about, I did a play. After I spoke about my interview. Yeah, then I came to the shop. I worked for about 14 years at the shop selling wafers, and then finally I wanted to be a photographer. I became a photographer, but my heart was in movies and theater. I joined the theater. Why? So that I learn and understand theater discipline, learn and understand drama, learn and understand that if you want to do cinema, don't ever think that it's easier in cinema because आपका shot है फिर मैं इनका shot लूंगा फिर मैं आपका shot लूंगा और 2 लाइन बोलना फिर आप 2 लाइन बोलेंगे फिर आप 1.5 लाइन बोलेंगे ऐसे नहीं होता है. If you do a theater discipline, you will understand that any actor worth his salt wants to do the entire scene first, at least in rehearsal. So I did a play called I'm Not Bajirao. Okay? I Am Not Bajirao is not a historical play. It's about a 75-year-old Parsi Babaji. I was 35 that time. And a 75-year-old Maharashtrian who was about 48, looked 75, Sudhir Joshi. And we did this play. It was an experimental play. Experimental. 2 old men sitting on a park bench talking about their aches and pains. About their knee, about the sciatica, about their glaucoma, about क्या उनकी सब बीमारी है, about their love life. Who is interested in a 75-year-old man's love life? How boring is this? So we had 3 shows. We rehearsed for months for 3 shows in the experimental theater. All right? We decided not to put it in the experimental theater for some reason, and we opened it at the 1,200-seater Tata Theater. Why? I don't know. Kisko himmat aayi? It was my first play. It was first play for Sudhir Joshi in English. तो क्यों हमने खोला? Because people said इसमें कुछ है. Don't open it in the experimental. 3 show book कर लो. 3 shows. I'll just give you a little insight into this. 3 show नहीं किए हम लोग. 10 साल चला ये play. What am I trying to say? It is these things that are different that actually work. And they can even make money. And we ran that for 10 years till Sudhir Joshi Bichara passed away one day, and then I don't have the heart of playing it again. So what's my point? My point is nothing is too small. Nothing, if the concept is big, it's big. We did that play. I ended up playing Feroz Khan's Mahatma versus Gandhi. All right? Which was based on Prakash No Parchayo. It was a Gujarati play, and then it was made in Marathi by and Atul Kulkarni and Bhakti Barve did the roles, and I was doing the English version. And I went to Sudhir Joshi and said, Sudhir, getting to play Gandhi. Sudhir, do it. Do it. Sudhir Joshi. Sure? 100% do it. Which Gandhi? I said, महात्मा गांधी पागल हो गया. मैं समझा खान अब्दुल गफ्फार खान, फ्रंटियर गांधी. And that shook me up. I said, Sudhir Dada, what are you saying? He said, मैं मजाक कर रहा हूँ. All that I'm telling you has got to do with acting, cinema and drama only, just by the way, if you read between the lines. And you know what he said? He said, look, you have to do it. I was pulling your leg. You have to do it. Number 1, I started losing weight. I lost about 30 kilos, believe it or not. You can see my ribs. Right? Saying you'll walk like him. You'll talk like him. But if you don't think like him, no? And if you don't believe you're him, then how will they believe you're him? You've got to get as close as to belief. It's difficult and also impossible. It's not possible. How am I going to be? But you've got to really believe in that moment you're a version of that person. And that's what acting is about. Acting is about lying. Who is the best liar is the best actor. Jitendra Joshi is the best actor, I say. You're my darling, you know that. I love you. Yeah. Don't say it loudly, man. Anyway, we did that. Finally, I'm going to come to the closure of this session and then start something that is little more technical, which Jabbar sir was talking about. Ram Madhvani calls me and says कि I want you to do a film. मैं बोला अभी पैसे बनाने का मौका आ गया. It's an experimental film. मेरे को मर गए मेरी नसीब में सब experimentally होते हैं. वो play किया था हम लोग ने. वो play. I am not बाजीराव, but just see the parallels. Picture का नाम है Let's Talk. पूरे picture में मियाँ बीवी बातें करते रहते हैं. I said नहीं मुझे नहीं करना है. It's too wordy. So he says, then you rewrite it with me. So we sat and rewrote. It took us 1.5 years to write, rewrite, rehearse, record, improvise, rehearse, record. And then 1.5 years later, we made a film in 7 days. It was called Let's Talk. And the movie got made. And I went up to Ram Madhvani and said, Ram, when are we releasing this movie? He said, we are not going to release this movie. Kaun bola? I said, तो बनाया क्यों? So he said something very philosophical, which I wanted to punch him in the face. But hear this. And you know how Ram Madhvani is now. He says, you know, Bamani, we made it for you, for me, for our family. By now I want to break his neck. For our family, for our friends. And this line was the most irritating one of all. And to ease the passing of time. मेरा 1.5 साल बर्बाद किया to make me feel like I'm a grandfather of 80 smoking a pipe on a chair to ease the passing of time. I want to start a career. मैं मजाक कर रहा था. I tell you, I was joking. I was pulling his leg. I knew this movie would never see the light of day, but it did. We sent it to the national awards. I was nominated for best actor. It was up there, man. But they sent it back. Why? Because it was shot on digital. Can you imagine? They sent it back. I never grumble. Doesn't matter. So what? नहीं मिला national award में क्या है? तू ले लेगा. But the movie, while it was being edited, all right, the monitors here, and there was this film producer, director, who was looking at his film being edited. Big blockbuster. And then he was distracted by the other monitor over there, and he said, "Yeah, ganda picture kaun sa hai? Let's talk." ये एक्टर कौन है? बमन ईरानी. पारसी है, हिंदी बोलता है, मालूम है, भेजो मेरे पास. He gave me a check of 2 lakh rupees. I went to his house. He gave me 2 lakh rupees. Jyoti, I cannot understand how he gave me 2 lakh rupees. ये रख ले. अरे बोले किस चीज के लिए? मेरे अगली पिक्चर के लिए. बोला आपकी अगली पिक्चर का नाम क्या? मेरे पास पिक्चर ही नहीं है. Can you imagine? मेरे पास पिक्चर ही नहीं है. और यार फिल्मी लोग थोड़े ऐसे होते हैं, मतलब मेरे पास पिक्चर नहीं है, कमाल. I said तो फिर पैसे क्यों दे रहे? He said, he gave me a fine compliment I'd like to tell you. He said, if you start doing Hindi movies and I am ready with my ugly picture and you don't give me dates, you watch out. I said, why will I not give you dates? He said, because if you start working, Maman, for the next 20 years, you'll not stop working. Really? I did not believe that. I really did not believe that. Anyway, he disappeared. Again, he disappeared. 7-8 months later, the numbers vary with every conversation. 7-8 months later, he calls me and said, "Yara, कहानी मिल गई, कमाल की कहानी है, कहानी मिल गई, यारा, कहानी की." मैं बोला कहानी का नाम क्या है? He said, "मुन्ना भाई MBBS." Think about it. He had seen I'm Not Bajirao. Then he saw Let's Talk. And again, nothing is too small in this world to be recognized. If you're good, Al Pacino said, they'll come looking for you even if you're hiding in Siberia. It's true. And he said, पिक्चर है, कहानी अभी तेरे डेट चेक डाला था तुमने? मैं बोला नहीं डाला. हाँ अच्छी बात है, चलो. I said, पिक्चर का नाम मुझे अच्छा नहीं लगा. I said, what is this Munna Bhai MBBS? Sounds horrible, na? Munna Bhai MBBS. I said, कहानी क्या है? अरे कहानी कमाल की कहानी है. वो एक गुंडा है. वो गुंडा है, वो डॉक्टर बनना चाहता. I said, what a horrible story. It doesn't make sense. गुंडा डॉक्टर बनना चाहता है. I thought it was very, अच्छा, मेरा रोल क्या है? तू डॉक्टर है. तू डॉक्टर है और तू पूरे पिक्चर में हंसते रहेगा ऐसा. ये कैरेक्टराइजेशन है, वो हंसते रहेगा. अरे तेरे को समझ में नहीं आएगा फोन पे, तू जाके मेरे असिस्टेंट को मिल. आप नहीं बनाएंगे विनोद चोपड़ा? बोले नहीं, मेरा असिस्टेंट राजू. अरे यार, किसी राजू को मिलना पड़ेगा अभी. So I went and met Raju, and same thing. Raju told the story to me, and he narrated it with conviction. And he told me the story of Munna Bhai MBBS. It melted me over there. And I am saying, this is another technique we learn in class at Spiral Bound. Give your protagonist an insurmountable goal. This is an insurmountable goal. He will never be able to become a doctor. But he has to try. And the audience will root for you. Right? Ratatouille dekhi aapne? What? A rat is not allowed in the kitchen. The moment he gets in the kitchen, tack! या कोई poison दे दिया, bless you my dear. Poison दे दिया, या कोई rat trap में डाल दिया. How is that guy going to live in the kitchen? Not only does he want to live in the kitchen, he wants to be a chef in the kitchen. A rat who wants to be a chef. That's an insurmountable goal. And that's what our story should be about, including your personal story. Dream for the greatest and the greatest thing that you'd ever want to do. Dream about that and work upon it. Don't just dream. That's an insurmountable goal. Let Ratatouille be your personal story. We did Munna Bhai in a record time, in a record budget. There was no money. We all decided to take or not get any money if the movie did not work. And we just made the film. Last shot of the film is the Shadi Ka Mandap. याद है ये shot? हाँ? शादी का मंडप का शॉट. पैसे नहीं थे. अरे क्या करें, पैसे नहीं. वो 1.5 लाख रुपए लगेगा खाली फूल बूथ बनाने के लिए. अरे छोड़ना यार, हम लोग कुछ बना. नहीं, हमको ये शॉट जरूरी है, पिक्चर में शॉट जरूरी थे. तो आर्ट डायरेक्टर मजाक में बोला, अरे तो किसी के शादी में गेट क्रैश कर लो. विनोद चोपड़ा, अरे व्हाट अ वंडरफुल आइडिया यार. And we gate crashed into somebody's wedding. We sat behind. Sunil Dutt Saab, Sanjay, Arshad, Vinod Chopra, Raju Hirani, Gracie, सब लोग बैठे हैं पीछे ऐसे. बाराती जब घर गए, we came, he jumped on stage, we took the pictures and we got the hell out of there. That's how, you know what I'm trying to say? Everybody thinks that, you have everything on a plate in the film industry. You don't. You have this much resource. You got to stretch that resource. Today, you are all aspiring. Don't say, "Mera baap ye nahi karta" ya "Mera uncle." Nah, the power is in from here and from here. That's your power. Believe in that. Don't be disillusioned that you need to be somebody to be successful. It may work for some people, but more often than not, it does not work for some people. Understand that. We made the film released, and there were very few multiplexes that time, but in the single screens, back in the day, every Friday, Saturday, Sunday used to be full in single screen. But there was nobody in the theater. Nobody went to see Munna Bhai MBBS. And I just couldn't believe it. I went to Maratha Mandirs to go and watch the shows from behind. दुकान बंद करता था, शटर डाउन करता था, बड़ा ताला लगाता था, और जाके I would watch the film and say, what is going on? The public who is watching it is enjoying. And something's not working. I came outside and I stood at the footpath, and I wanted to get some sign, and I got a sign, and the sign went like this. I heard a voice. You know what the voice said? Hey, Mamu. I looked up. Yeah, someone's talking to me. Saying, Niche dekh, Mamu. I looked down. There was a very rough-looking lady in a sari. She put some money in a blouse like this. And she looked at me, and you keep asking me, why do you take selfies so much? Because that was my first fan, and I loved it. You know what I mean? And she said something to me that image doesn't leave me, because it made me feel that I am getting there. She looked at me and she smiled, She said, क्या मामू, क्या कमाल का एक्टिंग किया है रे तूने. Wow. And my heart is beating. She saw my movie and she loved it. And on top of it, she turns around and says, what? मामू, बहुत पैसा कमाएंगे हम लोग. मुझे क्या लगा? And don't think I'm not thinking incorrectly. I'm thinking correctly. कि वो एक डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर है, प्रोड्यूसर है, 5-7 फ्लॉप के बाद रोड पे आ गई. तो ऐसे हम मतलब मुझे तो ऐसे मामू, मैं ब्लैक में टिकट बेचती हूँ. मेरे को सब मालूम है कौन सी पिक्चर उठेगी डूबेगी. राजू डार्लिंग, राजू हमारी पिक्चर हिट होगी. कौन बोला? ट्रेड गाइड बोला, सिनेमा से ना कौन सा बोला. हाँ कौन बोला? अरे वो ब्लैक. अरे पागल हो गया तू, ब्लैक मार्केटर की बात सुनता. बट शी वाज राइट, सेइंग लोग ये पिक्चर लोग यहाँ छुएगी. And she was absolutely right, and suddenly the movie became folklore, right? Again, courage of your convictions, my friend. Raju had the courage of his convictions to tell the story of a gunda who wanted to be a doctor, insurmountable goal. It goes into your structure of understanding protagonists when you write your own stories. Don't forget to give them an insurmountable goal. Now what? In 1 week's time, 10 nominations. I was nominated. And 10 days after that, first awards. Right? I didn't have a suit. And Arshad was saying, "Tu kal kya pehenega?" I said, "Suit nahi hai." Kya? "नहीं, suit बनानी है." He calls up Naresh bhai, a masculine tailor, and says, "Yeah, suit बनानी है." ना मेरे पास टाइम नहीं. किसके लिए? बमन ईरानी. मैं बमन ईरानी को जानता है. ऐसे थैंक गॉड. मुझे फिल्मी बहुत महंगे होते हैं. नहीं, ठीक है. I'll wear something. I'll put together something. Don't worry. He said, नहीं, please, वो जीतेगा. कौन सी पिक्चर में? मुन्ना भाई. क्या काम किया उसने? I said, वो डॉक्टर. अरे वो टकला. मामू, अरे यार मैं उसके लिए सूट बनाएगा. हाँ, कल तक मैं भेज दूंगा. I said, what about measurement? You think measurement की जरूरत नहीं है? I said, you got mad or what? Measurement की जरूरत नहीं है? So he says, नहीं. I said, I don't want suit. I want my suit to be tailored. Well, he's saying, नहीं, please, we don't have time. रात के 12 बजे थे. He said, उसका height पूछो. 6'1" and almost 6'2". हाँ, हो जाएगा. I said, I do not want that suit. बराबर है ना? He said, give him the phone. Hello, मामू. कमाल का, very nice. आपका सूट में आपका 6 feet. I said, नहीं, मुझे ऐसे नहीं चाहिए. मतलब 6'2". मतलब आपका 6'2" कॉलर यहाँ पे बनाओगे क्या? How will you judge? You know, देखो मामू, जोर से मत बोलना. मेरे पास मुन्ना भाई का DVD कॉपी है. मेरे पास घर में बहुत बड़ा स्क्रीन है, टीवी. तो आप स्क्रीन पे आएंगे, मैं पॉज करूँ. आपका हाइट 6'2", तो मैं स्क्रीन पे मेजर करूंगा. If it is 10 inches, 6 feet 2 inches is how many inches? 74? 74? 72 बोले मतलब अच्छा बोला. 74 inches is equivalent to 10 inches. So shoulder आ गया उनका, इधर तक आ गया, पैंट लेंथ आ गया, सब कुछ आ गया, चेस्ट वेस्ट सब कुछ आ गया. खाली मैं स्टमक में थोड़ा लूसी रखेगा. मैं बोला क्यों? मेरा टीवी 3D वाला टीवी नहीं है. And he said the next day the suit, I'm standing under the stage, believe it or not. इतना बड़ा स्टेज होता है ये बैंडिया कुर्ला कॉम्प्लेक्स में. मैं स्टेज के नीचे खड़ा हूँ, सब वो क्रॉस पट्टी के. मैं खड़ा हूँ ऑन अ टॉवल. सूट ही नहीं आया. प्रेम चोपड़ा साहब, कल ही प्रेम चोपड़ा साहब ने मुझे फोन किया फॉर मेहता बॉयज. वो बाद में बात करेंगे मेहता बॉयज के बारे में. जिनने नहीं देखा बाद में बात करेंगे. I'm standing over there and suddenly like a how you were selling vegetables. बमनी रानी कौन एक आदमी है, संजय भाई. मैं सूट लिया, सूट पहनने लगा और मेरा नाम अनाउंस हुआ. पीछे जाके I could not go all the way around because I would never make it. Went on stage from behind from the service ramp and got my first award. I'm telling you, what am I saying? It's something that I wanted to do, something that I want to be part of. And that's the beauty of it. I will round this part of the story up a little later. Now let's talk about